Today I open what I would call is a second front, and I realize that I am a free thinker and rather isolated from the common herd in many ways. I'm not too good in committees. I'm more of a committee kind of guy, commit me kind of guy. I am looking for positive response to the possibility that we can truly evolve ourselves as a species, and I'm rather convinced that by sun gazing and seeing Father Sun is a really good way to go, and I believe that we can become beings of light. And I heard just yesterday something that confirmed something I've been doing in preaching for many years, and that is sun gazing. And I'm gazing at the sun right now, and you know, I feel that there is a presence of the Almighty coming into my being, and that, you know, we're all here together in this same soup. And when we begin to open our eyes to the light, then the light begins to shine in us, and understanding comes, and we're no longer confused. We're centered around that living light that penetrates beyond our, you know, what can I say, all the obstacles we put up in its place. So gaze on, and looks like I missed the last bus, and looks like there's another one on the way. Well, this is the wasteland that is being developed by the city to replace what was a very organic process. And so I'm opening the second front here today, and that's what it's all about. Hello boys and girls, this is John, Rainbow John, and it'd be kind of nice to see you know, the difference between my first YouTube in when was that, 09, and when I finally decided this might be an avenue to talk to more people. And I've been doing it ever since. And I was asked recently to do just this, to talk about really where I believe the movement should go next. And as you know, or maybe as you don't know, I've been trying to get a simple change in the electoral structure, or at least the electoral system, which would bring about a restructuring of the way our collective affairs, that is our governance, and the relationship between the governance and the people, arrives at a state where most of the challenges, problems as they're called, but I see them as challenges, are simply suppressed in the name of what, the worship of money, essentially. Now there are solutions to this, as we well know, and I've always been trying to be a little bit ahead of the loop and saying, okay, how can this be achieved? And just when I'd given up all further hope, the young people rose as a body around the world, and I have to say thank you, great Creator, for you know, giving me another opportunity to ride a wave of conscious, aware people, and maybe because, you know, I rode the wave of the 60s as an old guy, and now I'm an even older guy, and I think I'm going to be riding the wave, you know, into a new age, a new conscious awareness and a new love of life. And as always, then and now, and when I went to the Supreme Court in '79, you know, I believe that the blessed sacred herb and for the elevation ourselves as a conscious, aware people is a serious matter. And as long as we have a Prime Minister who, for whatever his reasons are, and continues to provoke this kind of confrontation, then I think, you know, we're not in a very stable state. So I think we have to look at these things on a broad base. Strategically, I do believe that Canada has been, you know, largely invaded, but again, these are all challenges for us today as we move forward into a new quality of consciousness, where a new awareness of our role as human beings on the planet, individually and collectively, begins to arise. I'm dragging on a bit here, but essentially for a very long time I believed that, as now is widely believed by young people, the banking system has been a fraud, and of course there have been several serious efforts to overturn it over the years, and only now do we really have the full understanding of the nature of the manufacture and distribution of money to begin to address the money needs of the people, until we are able to evolve ourselves to a condition of quality of consciousness of mind where money will be something we can joke and laugh about and perhaps gamble with, but that its true and legitimate material value to us as human beings in terms of goods and services, you know, must be divorced from that. Well, I see it not. I see capitalism now as or ownership of wealth or domination by power and so on, as all wrapped up together. And this is the time when, on this planet, we have the opportunity to confront that, because now, of course, we're moving into a new age. However, to be more specific, I see it coming to an end in this way. Having exhausted my efforts with the Supreme Court of British Columbia to get this none of the above thing here, which I started putting out in this form in 1997, and this is quite a nice little thing. You get it printed on both sides, and there's a little trick to getting the pages right and so on, and then you can fold them up, you end up with this nice little booklet, and lots of people still got these little booklets. I'm always happy to see, sort of micro press, and so what I can't think of anything better to do, you know, I basically fold up these little things and then staple them and give them away. But the principle behind it is simply that we have this option, this simple option on the ballot form. It's not asking very much. If we choose that we are not really interested in having a professional politician, school board experience or whatever, in this new style of management of our collective affairs, which is still representational, but is also directed a democracy. So no one loses their absolute sovereignty, which they never should surrender for anything, because that is why we were made the way we were by the great Creator, that we have these choice making and therefore, you know, potentials for responsibility, so we might as well, you know, apply them while we're here, because nobody gets out of this alive. So in the meantime, we, you know, have the opportunity now, at this time when things are so clearly shaky, to effect a purpose by bringing about a quality of life for everybody. Everybody wants to participate, volunteers only, hey, but, you know, we see ourselves as crew on a spaceship, and we begin to recognize, no. You know, peace is an infinitely better alternative for everybody's well-being. We're talking everyone's well-being. You know, we're talking, there are situations in the world today which clearly, if we live in tents, if we're living in tents, we're confronting it. And those of us who are not actually in tents are intense about improving the conditions of the people on this planet, because that seems to be our moral and ethical and holy responsibility. I believe we're here as caretakers, and that means caretaking of every living, thoughtful, anything in creation. We should not be into a destructive mood, and to try and legitimize any foreign wars with those kind of reasons, to me, is an insanity of an extreme order. And as a people, we can transcend those confusions. Where do those confusions arrive? Well, people talk about tribalism. Well, there's good and bad in tribalism. You know, historically, it was probably one of the forms by which families expanded into relationship with other families, and therefore, you know, expanded breeding possibilities. Or I don't know how far down the mammalian, you know, extraordinary evolutionary process began, or whether it really existed at all. I mean, proof for all these beautiful alternative conceptual packages is a part of what life is all about, you know, trying to discover where the truth lies. I believe that the truth lies that we are children in the surface chemistry between a local star, our father sun, and we're on a planet which I call our Mother Earth. And many people do talk about Mother Earth, but they don't think about the surface chemistry, perhaps, that we are all in that soup. We're all in that same surface chemistry. We're all essentially breathing the same very narrow atmosphere.